Good day, good afternoon. Welcome to the FamilyU Seal information session. We are so thrilled you could join us today. My name is Davida Bishendat, and I'm the Director of Learning and Innovation here at Generation Hope. We're going to share a few housekeeping items before we dive into today's session. Please utilize the chat function for any tech support or questions that you may have. There will be time for questions at the end, so feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box throughout. During our session today, we'll be keeping all participants muted. If you have additional questions beyond what you can share in the Q&A, please be sure to join us for upcoming office hour sessions, and we'll be sure to share that link to sign up later on. There's also a closed captioning option at the bottom of your screen, which will allow you to access closed captioning if you want or need to access that functionality during today's session. We'll also send a follow-up email to all participants with the links and resources that we share during today's webinar. And lastly, we are recording this session and it will be posted on our website shortly. For today's webinar, we'll first dive into the origins, the elements, and the benefits of the FamilyU Seal. We'll then review the application process and the supports that are available to assist higher ed institutions and nonprofit organizations with submitting the application. And lastly, we'll have time at the end to answer any questions that you may have about the FamilyU Seal. On our next slide, you'll see the names and faces of our presenters who are joining me today, which include our founder and CEO, Nicole Lynn Lewis, and our Chief Operating Officer, Reginald Grant. It is now my pleasure to hand it over to Nicole to share more about Generation Hope and the FamilyU Seal.
Thank you so much, Davida, and welcome again to everyone who is joining us today. We've been so encouraged by the wonderful response we've received after announcing the FamilyU Seal. So we want to thank you for your interest and your willingness to learn more, and again, for being with us today. Before we dive into the specifics of the seal, we know that some of you may be brand new to Generation Hope, so we thought it would be helpful to share a bit of information about who we are and what we do. I started Generation Hope in 2010 after I graduated from college as a teen mom. I started as a freshman at William & Mary in Virginia when my daughter was a little under 3 months old. And that experience prompted me to start an organization that would combat the statistic that fewer than 2% of young mothers earn a college degree before age 30. Over the years, our work has grown and expanded in incredible ways, and the FamilyU Seal is evidence of that. At a high level, we have two major arms of our work, our direct work with families and our systemic change work. Through our Scholar program, we provide wraparound supports to young parents in college, including tuition assistance, mentorship, mental health, counseling, career readiness programming, and more. We also support the children of our scholars with kindergarten ready programming, and that's our early childhood program called Next Generation Academy. We have served more than 300 young parents at more than 20 different 2- and 4-year schools in the DC metro region in their pursuit of a college degree. And we are expanding our Scholar program to New Orleans this summer, which we're very excited about, where we will start serving 25 teen mothers and fathers in college there in July. Additionally, Generation Hope works to dismantle the systemic and historical barriers that families all over the country face when it comes to their economic mobility. And we do this by partnering with local and federal policymakers and advocates to champion legislation that will really move the needle for families. We also partner with higher ed institutions to transform their institutions to be truly supportive of parenting students through our technical assistance program called FamilyU. And through this FamilyU program, we've worked with more than 15 colleges and universities across the country to help them advance their student-parent success efforts. And we have impacted and are impacting more than 60,000 student parents through that work. And this is a great segue to the FamilyU Seal that we're talking about today. One of the biggest questions Generation Hope has received over our 13 years is, do you have a list of higher ed institutions and organizations that specifically support student parents? We are so excited that this seal will finally provide the answer to that question. The FamilyU Seal is a national certification for higher ed institutions and nonprofit organizations that are making significant strides in intentionally serving parenting students. We're so excited about the seal because through all of our work, whether it's on the direct service side or through our systemic change work, We have seen the importance of investing in parenting students and centering their voices in all that we do. We've also seen the connection between student parent work and racial justice work. And we have seen the evidence that when institutions and organizations intentionally support student parents, everyone benefits. We had three main objectives in creating the FamilyU Seal program, and I'll just go over these really quickly. One is to identify institutions and organizations that are actively investing in student parent success across the country. The second is to inspire other institutions and organizations to start to invest in student parent success. And the third is to increase awareness of the student parent population. If you're here joining us today, you probably know the statistic: 1 in 5 undergraduate students across the country are parenting. It's such a significant but often under the radar population. And we believe that this seal can be a powerful tool in our toolbox to ensure that they succeed. There are also some great benefits for institutions and organizations that receive the FamilyU Seal. They include nationwide recognition, being announced during Student Parent Month in September, listed on our website, featured at Generation Hope's National Conference, which will be March 13th through the 15th in New Orleans. We actually just sent out the save the date for that big event today. We're very excited, and there'll be more exciting exposure opportunities that we'll be announcing soon that will come out of that conference. And then lastly, the chance for one exemplar higher ed institution to receive a $25,000 award, and for one exemplar nonprofit organization to receive a $15,000 award to support their continued student parent work. Now I'm going to pass it to Reginald to talk us through the application.
Thanks for that, Nicole. First of all, welcome everyone. It's great to have you with us. We have two applications for the FamilyU Seal certification. One for institutions of higher education and one for nonprofit organizations. Those will be entered into the chat now and are also up on our website. Please make sure you're completing the correct application. We're going to do a brief overview of each, starting with the higher ed application. Thanks. At the top of the application, you will find information that will support you in your submission. First, there's the applications are due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on July 15th, 2023. The application will take approximately 30 minutes to complete. So once you begin the application, you may save and come back if needed. Each institution may designate a point of contact who is authorized to complete and submit the application on behalf of the institution. The point of contact will field all correspondence related to the FamilyU Seal. Also ensure that you have reviewed our PDF version, our PDF of the FamilyU Seal application and our FAQ before beginning your application. There is a $250 application fee that's required before submitting your application. And this fee covers administrative costs associated with reviewing the Seal applications. Institutions will be notified of selection in August 2023, and all the points starred in red in the application are required. If you have a question, if you come to a question that you don't know the answer to or have data to support, you can just say unknown. And also, we want to define what share with you how we define what a student parent is. And for us, a student parent is a student who is a parent or assumes caregiving responsibilities of a biological, adopted, step, or foster child or children living in their household part or full time. We also include pregnant and expecting students in this group. So let's go through the application. The first is the eligibility section. It ensures that you meet all the criteria. And there are two buttons there for you to select to ensure that you meet that criteria. Also, we ask that you provide your point of contact information and basic information about your institution in the general section, like the name and the address of social media handles. These questions are going to help us have a better understanding of the student parent body on campus and some basic information to get a better sense of your institution. And it also allows us to see and to better understand your student parent supports. There's a section that's focused on data. And this section really is the data section is focused on quantitative data and how your institution tracks student parent progress. There's a policy section that is focused on how your institutional policies contribute to student-parent success. For the people section, it focuses on how your institution's people practices, i.e. your human resources, contribute to student-parent success and culture. And this section is focused on how the tangible and intangible aspects of your institution's culture are inclusive of student parents. Now, in this section of the application, you must submit your fee. It must be paid via credit card at the time of submission. Now we're going to look at the nonprofit organization application. The application starts the same as the institutional application, but nonprofit organizations, you should read through them thoroughly as they are found at the top of the application as a way to support you in completion. Again, you should have your organization and student parent data handy. For the first section of this application, the first section focuses on eligibility. Again, you are required to check all that apply. The next section is focused on the general information, and that is to provide your point of contact and the name of your organization. In this section, you will also have all the questions that will be there to help us better understand your student parent participants, and for us to get better basic information to better support a sense of your organization, and also for us to be able to really see some of the work that you're doing to support student parents. The next section focuses on your work. And this section focuses on your program goals for student parents and their children and the staff who support them. We ask you to touch on the challenges and the impacts of serving student parents during this section. And the last question in this section of the application will require you to submit your fee. Again, it must be paid via credit card at the time of submission. Now, let's review the application timeline. So the application is open now, and you can find the application links on our website, generationhope.org/FamilyU Seal. We're holding office hours on June 21st, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and on July 10th, 2023, from 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 Eastern Standard Time for organizations and institutions that have questions about the application. Sign up for a 15-minute meeting time to chat with us individually. The link to the sign up has been dropped already in the chat. Okay. Also, we have a review committee, and a review committee will consist of 10 to 12 members, which will be composed of student parents, funders, advocates, educators, and other stakeholders who will assess in reviewing and scoring applications. If any review committee member has a connection to an applying institutional organization, they will not review that application. Generation Hope staff will compile scores and make final decisions regarding the FamilyU Seal institution and organizations. Again, the deadline to apply for the FamilyU Seal is July 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Recipients will be notified in August, and we will announce publicly in September. Thank you, and now I'll pass it over to Davida for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Reginald. We wanted to, again, reserve some time for any questions that you may have about the FamilyU Seal and the application process. And so I see a few questions coming in right now, but again, please feel free to drop any additional questions in the Q&A box at this moment. And so our first question that we have, are foundations eligible to apply for the FamilyU Seal? So while we are excited to hear about foundations investing in this really important student parent work, they unfortunately are not eligible to receive the seal. At this point in time, we are focusing on higher ed institutions and nonprofit organizations. Okay, we have another question that came in. Is the admin fee refundable? And I will toss that one to Nicole.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. We charge the admin fee to cover, the fee to cover the administrative costs that we incur for the whole review process. So we are not able to refund that, since when you submit your application, we'll go through a rigorous review. So it really helps us cover the administrative costs of that review.
Thank you, Nicole.
Mhm.
Keep your questions coming. Our next question, somebody asked, will outside letters of recommendation or support be considered? While we don't ask for letters of recommendation or support, you'll see that there is a section in each application that asks for testimonials or quotes from student parents. And so we would really encourage you to utilize that space in the application to provide your voices of support. So there's that question. Okay. Another question came in. So from Stephanie Silva, you mentioned the fee was only billable by credit card only. Just want to make sure we are not able to pay via invoice. So are there alternative ways for folks to apply, to pay for the fee, or is it just the credit card?
Yeah, I see our COO mouthing this, but just for our purposes, we are collecting the administrative fee via credit card only. If you need to pay over the phone or in a different way via credit card than the form, please email us at FamilyUSeal@generationhope.org. And we're certainly happy to take that payment over the phone and figure out how to be able to process your application without doing it online. But we are only able to accept the fee via credit card.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you, Stephanie, for your question. I have another question that came through. Does an institution have to be involved in the FamilyU cohort to be eligible to receive the seal? Absolutely not. This application is open to all higher ed institutions as well as nonprofit organizations. So we encourage all folks to apply. All right. The next question that I see coming up in our queue. So the application fee also gets you into the cohort, which then has a $20,000 fee over 2 years. Reginald, did you want to take kind of that question and helping to discern the two?
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Davida. And thank you so much for the question who asked. Well, these are two separate lines of support. The FamilyU Seal is independent. That's a $250 application. Nicole outlined what is involved if one is selected to receive that seal. The $20,000 fee is for our FamilyU cohort services, which is a 2-year intensive capacity building experience that you would have to apply to and be selected to be a part of that cohort experience. These are two separate experiences. The seal, again, is what we're focused on here. The FamilyU cohort that's associated, $20,000 is associated with the fee, is a completely different service.
Thank you so much. All right, another question that just came through. Are there specific benchmarks used for evaluating applicants? Nicole, did you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a framework that we use in all of our FamilyU technical assistance work that looks at 4 key competency areas for effective student-parent work, and that's data, policy, people, and overall culture. And so when we're evaluating institutions, we're looking at their student-parent efforts, we're trying to gauge where they are in each of those 4 areas. That's the same framework that we're using for evaluating FamilyU Seal applications. There isn't a minimum that we're looking for, if that's a part of the question around benchmarks. And we're also taking into consideration that a school may not be systemically collecting the parenting status data on their students, but they have been doing an amazing job of ensuring that childcare is accessible to all students at their institution. So we're taking a holistic approach as we evaluate these applications. And the same thing for nonprofit organizations. We're really taking a holistic approach, looking at all aspects of the work, as opposed to saying, if you don't meet this minimum requirement, you're not going to get receive the seal.
Great. Our next question that just came in the queue, and again, folks, keep them coming. How long is the seal good for, and will this application be released annually? Nicole, do you want to take that one as well?
Sure. So the seal is a 3-year certification. So you would not have to apply every year. We do have a reporting requirement where we're going to check in and see how things are going annually, but it is a 3-year designation. We will be releasing the application annually. So we will release the application again next year. And then again, if you earned it, if you don't apply this year, but you apply next year, that will be a 3-year certification as well. So it is a 3-year designation. The application opens up annually. If you do receive it, we will be checking in with you annually for a brief report out on how things are going with your student parent work.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicole. We had another question come in. This person asked, can we still apply if we don't do direct student parent work, but have some indirect components that impact student parents? That is an excellent question. So while we are excited to hear about organizations that are including student parents in their advocacy and other indirect work, this specific FamilyU Seal focuses on higher ed institutions and nonprofit organizations that are directly serving this population. So that is just something to keep in mind. So we want to make sure that folks are directly, again, serving this population. Okay. There we have a question about reporting requirements. So will there be reporting requirements for the recipients of the Exemplar Award? And I may even extend that question, and I may pose this to Reginald. In addition to the reporting requirements for the recipients for the Exemplar. So in terms of the reporting requirements for the recipients of the Exemplar, are there also any reporting requirements for folks who indeed do receive the seal?
I'm having some technical challenges. I'm going to ask Nicole to step in and support in that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of receiving the seal, there is a brief annual report that you'll receive, where we're going to ask you some questions. If you receive the Exemplar Award, then yes, we will have some reporting that we'll be asking of you. One big high-level thing is we do not want this to be cumbersome. We are also a nonprofit organization. We know how difficult it is when people give you something and then ask for so many things in return. And so our hope is that any report-ins and check-ins are the least cumbersome as possible as we can make them for you. That is our goal. So if you are an Exemplar and you do receive the award, we will be asking some questions and reporting, checking in with you annually. But we try to make it brief, and we know that you all are busy and have a lot going on. So that is our guiding star, is how do we make this easy and convenient for you, whether you're a seal recipient or you're a seal recipient and an Exemplar. But there will be that. And then in terms of the funds that you receive, $25,000 for institutions, $15,000 for nonprofits, there will be expectation around those funds that you'll be using them to advance your student parent work. So we'll talk more about that, once we reach out and inform that Exemplar institution or nonprofit organization, but just kind of high level, that is the expectation around the funding.
Great, thank you, Nicole. All right, our other questions coming in. Somebody asked a clarifying question around how we defined a student parent. So at Generation Hope, we define student parent as a student who is a parent or assumes caregiving responsibilities of any biological, adopted step or foster child or children living in their household part or full time. And again, we also include pregnant and expecting students in this group. Okay, and our next question, who should be completing this application? So both for higher ed institutions and our nonprofit organizations, we encourage folks to designate one singular person to submit the application on behalf of the institution or on behalf of the nonprofit organization. That person will vary from institution to institution. However, we encourage folks to identify a singular person who will submit the application on behalf of the full organization. Right. Do we have any other questions coming in? Let's see. I think. All right, we have another question that just came through. And Nicole, I'll direct this one to you. How will Generation Hope publicly announce recipients?
Yeah, great question. We're working on several ways that we're going to be getting the word out. One, we have a PR firm that will be helping us shout our recipients from the rooftops. We will do some national media pitching around the list of recipients, but then also doing local pitching. So media outlets that are in your backyard, we will be reaching out to them to hope in the hopes that you'll get local pickup of the fact that you've received this designation. So we have a PR firm who has been already at work on this. They've already been pitching the launch of the seal, and they will be very much involved in announcing the seal recipients. We will be connecting our announcement to National Student Parent Month, which for the last 2 years has been designated as September. So we will be really hitching our wagon onto the excitement and enthusiasm around the month and the national celebration of this work and of student parents. So we'll do a lot of pitching around that as well. We will have a listing on our website, and we'll make sure that that listing is searchable. So if people want to look for higher ed institutions or nonprofit organizations that are doing student parent work in New York or Florida, they will be able to do that. So you'll be on a searchable directory or list, if you will, on our website. We will also be shouting you from the rooftops at our national conference, which I mentioned is going to be in March in 2024 in New Orleans, and we'll be celebrating our exemplars at that event, but also just talking generally about our FamilyU Seal recipients, celebrating the work. And then we'll have opportunities for you all to meet each other. One of the things that we recognize is really important in this work is having being a part of the student parent movement and being connected to other institutions and other organizations that are equally all in on student parents. So we'll have some designated time for you to meet one another, for you to connect, hopefully swap ideas, and collaborate on all things student parents. So a lot will happen at the conference, a lot will be connected to that, but also we'll be doing a lot of media pitching around the announcement in September. And then throughout the year, Generation Hope, thankfully, has been in a position where we're often approached from media outlets about different organizations and higher ed institutions that we would recommend they talk to around student parent work. And so it's an opportunity for us to have a go-to list of institutions that we can recommend to media and different folks, even foundations that are interested in investing in this work. We have that list and can recommend that they reach out to you directly as well. So there are a lot of different ways that we'll be promoting the seal recipients.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicole. We had another question come through around whether there's a cap for the number of recipients that will be awarded to the Family Seal, and the answer is no. There is no cap at all, and so again, we encourage all folks to apply. Okay. Any other questions that folks might have? Feel free to place them in the chat. And again, if questions come after today's webinar, feel free to email us, as well as attend our office hour sessions.
And really quickly, we also have an FAQ on our website. So if there was a question that you didn't get to ask, you're always welcome to look there. We may have it captured on the FAQ. And then, as Davida said, we're certainly here with office hours, and you can always email us. But the FAQ is there and may answer some of the questions you might have.
All right, we had another question come in. How many higher ed institutions hold this designation? The answer is currently, oh, go ahead, Nicole. The answer is none at this moment, because this is our inaugural FamilyU Seal. So we just launched and announced, and so at this current moment, nobody holds this designation. But once folks are notified, we'll be able to answer that question. All right. We'll see if a few other questions come in. And with that, I think those are all of the questions that have come through. I want to thank you all for all of your thoughtful questions and attending today's session. We're going to wrap up and share just a few closing reminders. So again, the deadline to apply is July 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to sign up for office hours for those 15-minute slots for any application help, please feel free to do that. And again, as a reminder, those office hours will be held on June 21st and July 10th. Today's webinar recording will also be posted on our website shortly, so you can come back and reference this and also share it with your colleagues. Nicole shared earlier in today's webinar that we have secured a location and date for our inaugural national conference in New Orleans, and we are very excited about that. So be sure to save the date for March 13th to 15th in New Orleans. And lastly, should you have any questions at all about the application, the process, maybe interpreting what a question may mean, please feel free to reach out to us at FamilyUSeal@generationhope.org. So thank you again for joining us today. We hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing your applications in shortly. Thank you.